The album opens well with the song "To the Bone." It's also what the album is called.
Yes.
There's someone speaking out, and I read it out now.
Yeah.
Once we've made sense of our world, we want to go fuck up everybody else's because his or her truth doesn't match mine, and then what?
Yeah, etc.
A lot more. Before we go into the meaning of this, why open with such a statement? What was the idea behind it?
Well, you've got to open an album with a bang. It's nice to have a dramatic opening to the record. To me, in a way, though, beyond that, to me, in a way, that sets a template for the subject matter of the rest of the album. So To the Bone is a song about the nature of truth. It's a song about the fact that truth is no longer an absolute. It's become something which is flexible. And truth, in the kind of post-Trump era of fake news and all that stuff, truth is now something that can be twisted and adapted and perverted to make whatever point you want to make.
But is truth not always the truth, but the way the people perceive truth is different?
Of course,
yeah.
Of course. Truth, by definition, truth can not be open to interpretation. Yeah. And yet we find ourselves in 2017 where it absolutely is. You know, every religious denomination, of course, believes their reality is the only truth. That's the only truth. But at the same time, there are hundreds of religions, and they all apparently seem to coexist, you know, peacefully or not. They all seem to coexist. So there's a great example of people who believe the absolute truth is the only truth, but it's completely in contradiction to someone else's idea of the absolute truth. But you're right, and of course that's the whole idea of the title, To the Bone. It's basically a plea to say, can we please cut away all of this bullshit, all of this, you know, smokescreen, all of this interpretation and human filtering, if you like, and just get to the very one absolute core reality, the core truth.
How come? There's also a line that you're saying, truth is the permanent path we laugh about, and then avoid. Obviously, you've wrote a song about it. It's also the theme of the album. But what is your perception of how did this come about? How come truth isn't the exact truth anymore?
Because human beings are very good at filtering reality through their own agenda, aren't we? You know, I mean, just on a very very basic level. For example, I'm a musician. Okay, now I have a fan base, and I have people who have been following for many years. Every time I make a new record, and this one will be no exception, I'm sure, some of my fans will say it's the best thing I've ever done. Some of my fans will say it's the worst thing I've ever done. Now, both of those parties will express their opinion as if it's a fact. They won't say, in my opinion. People, we don't do that, do we? Human beings, we say, if somebody says, what's the new Star Wars movie like? We don't say, in my opinion, or sometimes we do, but very rarely we say, in my opinion, it's not very good. We say, what we do is we say, it's brilliant, or we say, it's shit. In other words, we express our opinion as incontrovertible fact. Human beings are very good at that. Now, how can both of those opinions be true? They can't. It's not possible for those two opinions. The point is that those are personal opinions which are filtered through taste, through upbringing, through whatever kind of brainwashing, you know, deliberate or otherwise, that you've been through. And we all have our own agenda, and we're all different.
What is the role of, because you sing in Pariah, I don't know if I pronounced it right, but yeah. I'm tired of Facebook, and then later on you're saying I'm tired of everyone, and that includes me. Mm. So the whole new generation of constantly being online, constantly be feeded by news or opinion. Yes. Does that something have to do with it?
Well, put it this way, I think that social media and the internet, there's nothing inherently wrong with it. It's fantastic. But like all technology, it's only as good or bad as the way the human race choose to use it and choose to engage with it.
But what did I mean?
Well, it's basically the internet, I think, has made it easier for the dissemination and the spreading of propaganda. And propaganda is really the other side of truth, isn't it? If you twist truth, then you create propaganda.
But what does it say about the human nature that now we have this access? That
it's crazy. I know. I think the human race is, to me, it's been very clear for a very long time. The human race we've malfunctioned quite badly as a species. You know, what really brought it home to me, you know, the whole thing about the American election campaign, and also to a lesser degree the Brexit thing last year in England, was that nowadays apparently you can even you can tell a lie, you can be caught out in the lie, you could admit that it was a lie, but still people believe it. That's insane. I mean, even 25 years ago, Bill Clinton couldn't get away with a little bit of an adulterous affair. Apparently now, that's okay. And by the way, everything else is okay too.
But how come?
I just think that people are more paranoid, more confused. We carry around a lot more fear in our daily lives. You know, the terrorist attacks, people are basically running scared, and they're so desperate to cling on to some idea of control, logic, and security.
Are we in a transitional phase, or is this
God, I hope so. I really hope so.
Okay.
I hope this is just a transitional phase in the human race. Yeah, go on.
There are two. I've listened to all the songs and all the lyrics, but I only have limited time. A few thoughts that I had was in the song "Nowhere Now," and also in "Permeating." You refer to clouds, high above the clouds, freedom.
Yes, yeah.
What does this symbolize for you?
For me, it symbolises that basically sometimes I think you can become too... I think sometimes you have to see the great in the small. You know, I mean, I'm as guilty as anyone of becoming obsessed with my own daily life and my own petty little concerns. I think sometimes perspective is an important thing to try to have. So both of those songs refer... It's basically the idea of having perspective. The world is an incredible thing. The gift of life is an incredible thing. And the last song on the record, a song called Song of Unborn, is basically taking this idea of talking to an unborn child and saying to the child in the womb, metaphorically speaking of course, you're looking out at the world and you're seeing this crazy place with all this fucked up stuff going on, and you're thinking to yourself, why on earth would I want to be born into such a world? And the answer is simple. The answer is that it's all about what you choose to do with your life. The gift of life is something unique to you, and you can do something profound with your life. And I think also as the human race we tend to forget sometimes that we're just one of many species that inhabit this earth, and arguably the one species least deserving of the planet Earth, considering what we do to it. Now, I'm a vegetarian, so I have a strong, kind of empathy with animals and animal rights, and we're just one species on this Earth. The Earth is an incredible place, a beautiful planet, a very special thing. The gift of life is a very special thing. So I think sometimes it's important to try to float above the clouds, metaphorically speaking, and have some perspective on this thing.
Do you have children?
I don't have children, no.
Are you planning to? Or?
No, but I know a lot of people that do, and I know that parents always have this dilemma sometimes, which is if they're about to have a child, they start asking themselves these questions: what kind of world am I bringing my kids into? And
what did this song to you do? Because you have to talk to the unborn child. Is it something that you say, well, maybe in the future I would like to have children? Because in earlier interviews you said, no, it's not for me. I just want to focus on you.
I still think it's not for me. I don't think it's right for everyone. I mean, I love animals. I have a dog that's like my baby. She's like my child. But of course I'm aware. I have many friends who have kids, so I'm aware of the sort of questions and the dilemmas.
There's one theme of the album that I still want to discuss, is the same asylum. You represent the people but don't believe in free will for me and my eggshell mind. What inspired this song?
Politicians. It's kind of obvious really. I mean, it's politicians are, kind of in many ways politicians have learnt too much from rock stars. And in many cases these days, politicians almost have better marketing campaigns than most pop musicians and rock stars have. The difference is the world of pop is a world of creating an illusion. You know, to be a musician very often, not all, but some of the greatest pop stars, it's all about creating an image, creating an illusion in a very kind of knowing way with your audience. It's part of the magic, is the enigma. You think of someone like David Bowie or Prince. It's all about creating an enigma, creating an illusion, creating a dream. If you apply that to politics, it doesn't work. It shouldn't work. But that, unfortunately, is the way a lot of politicians now go about campaigning. They almost take on this, they create this imaginary persona. So this comes back to the whole idea of twisting the truth and twisting reality. You can't apply the same philosophy that you apply to the world of entertainment to the world of politics. But that is exactly what is happening.
But it seems to work now.
It seems to work. Unfortunately, it seems to work, which is where a lot of my disappointment with my species comes from.
Yeah.
You almost can categorically prove to people that there's a lot of bullshit going on, there's a lot of lying going on, and apparently a large percentage of the people don't seem to care.
And how does terrorism fit into this?
Well, unfortunately, it feeds into that whole thing where the more fear, the more paranoia you engender in the human race, the more people are desperate to believe that we have leaders, that we have people that know what's going on, that can fight it. You can't fight terrorism. You can't fight against someone that's prepared to, you know, strap a bomb to themselves, walk into a public area and blow themselves up. How do you fight against that? I don't think you can. But you'll see plenty of politicians on the television reassuring, telling us they've got the situation under control. The security for... And time and time again, I think the terrorists prove to us that there is no way we can fight against that, really. So the more fear, the more paranoia, the more desperate we become to believe that there is some method and some control. And perhaps I'm cynical, I can't see how it's possible.
Last question. You said, well, pop. Is it something that do you want to achieve pop mainstream success too?
I'd be lying if I said, you know, a part of me doesn't still dream about, you know. I mean, in the 80s I grew up, Prince was my idol, you know. Bowie, Prince, you know, those kind of people, pop stars. And like a lot of kids, when I was young, I dreamed of being a pop star. And there's a little part of me that still would love to be a pop star, even though I kind of know, I kind of also have this hunch that I probably wouldn't like it very much. I probably wouldn't like being under that kind of scrutiny. And I'm quite happy being what you might call more of an underground artist. But at the same time, there's a natural inclination, I think, in anyone that makes music or makes anything, whether it's painting or poetry or film or literature, there's a natural inclination that if you do something and you put your heart and soul into it, there's a natural kind of need to share it with as many people as possible. And I have a frustration that there's still a lot of people out there that have never heard of me, and they've never had the opportunity to decide whether they like Steven Wilson music or they don't like Steven Wilson music.
And people who would like to decide it, what is, in your opinion, the songs or maybe two songs on this album that could give you this pop success? And
well, Permeating is a song that I think a lot of people around me, and including me, have high hopes for, in terms of perhaps getting a little bit more radio coverage, a bit more mainstream coverage than I've had in the past, because it's a very joyous piece of pure pop. And I haven't had many of those in my back catalogue, it must be said. So this is quite a different thing for me. Nowhere Now, I think it's very accessible, very easy to enjoy song. Pariah, you know, there are songs on this record that I think are easy doorways for people to walk through into my musical world. And I haven't had so many of those over the years, but there's several on this record. And so I keep spreading, you know, that's why I'm here today. You know, I'll keep talking about my music. I keep spreading the word as much as I can, because I believe there are people out there that would connect with it, engage with it.
Thank you for your time.
My pleasure.